All right, before we get into lesson 3, which is domain restrictions, I want to talk about the warm-up that's on the note sheet page. The warm-up is all about the key features that we talked about in the first lesson and the transformations we talked about in lesson number 2. So we have the parent function, 1 over x. Here's our pretty little curves. It says identify the key features of f of x. So I'm going to start there. And first thing I'm going to do is actually add in a little notation here for my vertical and horizontal asymptotes. So the normal 1 over x function has a vertical asymptote right here on the y-axis, which is actually the line x equals 0. So I'm going to mark a little 0 here for myself. And there's a horizontal asymptote right here on the no, that's the x-axis. Let me get the right axis there. Sorry. So the x-axis is our other asymptote. It's the horizontal one, and that's the line y equals 0. So it's because it's going through the origins, we've got zeros on both ends. Now, if this helps, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here, you may want to mark negative infinity on the far left side of the x-axis and positive infinity on the far right. You can do the same thing for your y-axis. And the reason I do this is it helps me read my domain. So from left to right, I know I have the domain from negative infinity. There is this pretty little curve, and it's going to go all the way up to this vertical asymptote here at 0. It's going to jump over the 0, and then the curve continues to positive infinity. So that domain is going to be from negative infinity to 0, and then from 0 to infinity. Now, a couple things to remind you about. 0 is not included in the domain. It's a vertical asymptote here. So there's parentheses here. And the little symbol in the middle is called the union symbol. So make sure you're including that when you write a interval that has multiple pieces. So each one of the pieces is joined with the union symbol. Now, range, I can read the same way. It's from bottom to top. So bottom, I've got negative infinity. It's good, 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 all the way up to 0. So we've got to bounce over this horizontal asymptote and then continue to infinity. So the range is going to be negative infinity to 0 and then 0 to infinity. So those are the key features for f of x. Now, we've transformed f of x into g of x. And there are two transformations going on here. So we've got a +1 attached to the x, and then separately we have a -2 that's attached to the fraction. So the +1 attached to the x is going to be a horizontal. I'm going to slide this over. There we go. Okay, so horizontal translation. And that's going to be left 1 unit. And then the -2 at the end is a vertical translation. Sometimes you see, I'll write the word shift instead of translation. Translation is technically the mathematical term. So it's a vertical translation. -2 would be down 2 units, okay? So now I'm going to use those two pieces of information, and I'm going to redraw these two asymptotes. So this vertical asymptote, I'm going to shift to the left 1. And then this horizontal asymptote, I'm going to shift down 2. So let's see. Let's put a new asymptote here. And a new asymptote. What was that? Down 2. That should be down 2. And so the new graph, and I'm going to draw this one in bright orange and a little thicker than I normally use a marker on. Let's try this. Okay. So it's going to come down this asymptote, right? Drop, drop, drop. I'm not doing that fabulous of a job of following it, and curve that way. And then this is going to come in and curve here. All right. So that's my new curve. I want to label it. So, and it's the reason I want to label it, it says graph and label. So all I have to do is come over here and mark g of x and identify the key features. All right. Now, these key features are a little different. So we've got, let's see, on the vertical asymptote, we're now at -1. And the horizontal asymptote is at -2. So let's see, vertical asymptote x equals -1, horizontal asymptote y equals -2. So these are going to be what I'm going to use for the domain and range. So domain, I'm going to throw out this value here for the vertical asymptote. So -infinity to -1, union -1 to infinity. And then for my range, I'm going to throw out this -2 value. So -infinity to -2, union with -2 to infinity. All right, so that's the review warm-up. Again, couple things going on here. We have all the key features that we talked about in the first lessons, and then the new idea for lesson 2.